Welcome to Kuma's Kitchen and a belated Happy St. Patrick's Day. Actually, right now, as I'm cooking this, it is St. Patrick's Day, but by the time it gets out on the channel, I'm sorry, it'll be a little late for St. Patrick's Day. What do we got here? Well, in honor of St. Patrick's Day, this is Irish mac and cheese. So what I did was I took a mac and cheese and I added some quite Irish ingredients into it, like potatoes and corned beef. Well, let's see what it's like. Let's have a little bite of that. There's the corned beef throughout there. There's cheddar cheese. Oh yeah, yeah. All right, there we go. That's gonna make for a good St. Patrick's Day night. All right, let's go to the kitchen and make some Irish mac and cheese. To make our Irish mac and cheese, well, these are the ingredients across here. Across the front, we've got a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, 1/4 cup of flour, 1/4 cup of butter, a 1/2 cup of the Panko breadcrumbs. Then next row, 1 large onion, roughly chopped. This is 340 grams or 12 ounces of corned beef, and that comes in a tin like that. This one, Libby McNeil and Libby. I think that's probably the most popular one. There may be other brands of corned beef, but this is the one I can always get. And it's actually made in Uruguay. So it's one of those cool ones, the old key on the side. You don't see that much anymore, but this one you turn around to open it up. A lot of fun to actually open. And there we go. There's the product itself. Then potatoes. I've got 1 pound. Oh, didn't cut that fully. There we go. 1 pound, 450 grams of potatoes, scrubbed and just cut into small bite-sized pieces, or bite-sized pieces basically. Over here, this is 12 ounces or 340 grams of. Now, I couldn't get macaroni. I know this is a mac and cheese, and you should be using macaroni, but macaroni is not always that easy to find here. So I'm using penne, which is close enough. It just doesn't bend around the corners. And then the cheese. This is 10 ounces or 280 grams of cheddar cheese grated. Then across the back, well, we got 2 cups of milk, and, well, it's Irish. We need a 1/2 cup of Irish whiskey. We're going to use that for deglaze in the pot. And that is Jameson, my favorite Irish whiskey. And you should always, when you're starting to cook, fortify the cook. There we go. Now we're ready to cook. Let's get things going. So we're going to bring we got the big cast iron pot here because that's going to go in the oven. I've got another pot over here of water coming to a boil. It's ready for now. Let's hold that. Because while I'm cooking everything else, I'm also going to cook the pasta. It can be cooked a little bit ahead of time. It's okay because it's going to reheat. If it cools down, it's going to reheat in the pot when it goes in the oven and all. What you don't want to do is overcook the pasta. Just cook it till it's still good, hard al dente stage. A little bit under even is good. And that's going to go in. So let's get the cast iron pot going on medium. And the first thing I want to do is melt that butter. So in goes the 1/4 cup of butter. Get that going. And I'll be back in a sec. We're going to get the onions in there as soon as that butter's melted. All right, butter's melted. So in goes the onion. Now, I don't need to cook the onion for too long because we're going to be adding other things and cooking them too. So I'm going to go about 5-6 minutes. Just start softening the onion up a bit. I'll see you back here in 5 or 6 minutes. All right, the onions have been cooking for about 5 minutes to start softening up a little bit. I've got the pasta cooking over there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add that corned beef in here and break it up. Just going to break it up and mix it in here. All right, that's pretty good, broken up into nice chunks. Gonna mix around throughout now. So, next thing goes in is the potatoes. And the salt and pepper. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just mix this around, cook it, stirring occasionally, stir it around, get it all mixed together. Going to cook that for about 15 minutes, just a little under 15 minutes probably, but close to 15 minutes. Just want to brown things up a bit. I'll get those potatoes start cooking, and then we're going to be back here. We're going to do a little deglazing with the, we're going to add the flour first of all. We're going to get that flour going in there, cook that a bit, then do some deglazing, and then we're going to start cooking everything else. So, see you back here in about a quarter of an hour. See you then. All right, that's been cooking for just under 15 minutes. We got a little bit stuck to the bottom there. That's going to happen with especially with the corned beef. But that's okay because we're going to deglaze it. But first, we're going to add in the flour. That's just going to make it stick a little bit more. We want to cook that flour just a little bit, just to get the rawness out. So you shoot for about a minute of just stirring that around. Oops. Getting it in contact with the heat. Mixing it into everything else. Just getting the rawness out of the flour, really. Alright, so I've been cooking and stirring that for about a minute now. Just scraping across the bottom to keep it a bit clear. Now, the Irish whiskey. So, I'm going to put about half of that in there. And start deglazing that bottom. Just get it scraping off that goodness off the bottom. Get it back up into the rest. And put the rest in there. There we go. Good timing, huh? Be quiet. All right. Okay. Now, what I want to do is start adding in the milk. So I'm going to go a little bit of that time at that too, but about half. Mix that in. That's starting to look good. All right, rest of the milk in there. All I do now is heat it up a bit, cook it about 5 minutes, and just get that thickening up a little bit. Still stirring, getting everything off the bottom. All right, let that simmer for 5 minutes. Gonna stir every once in a while, well, actually quite frequently, and then we'll be back. We're gonna add in the cheese. We're gonna put on the add in the pasta. So the pasta's over here. It's cooked and it's still got a bit of bite to it. That's perfect. Now, we don't really want it cooked too much, so it's just a little to it there. That's good. That's going to cool down a little bit now, but that's okay. It's going to heat up again once it gets in here. All right, we'll see you back here. Oh, that's hot. In about a little less than 15 minutes, a little less than 5 minutes now. All right, that's been cooking for a few minutes. It's started thickening up a little bit. So what I'm going to do now with the cheese, add about 2/3 of the cheese. We want to save some for the top. So take about 2/3 of the cheese and add that in there. That looks about 2/3. Mix that in just to get it to melt. Now we can just take it out the heat. It's going to melt with the residual heat now. All right, that's melted in there. So in goes the pasta. All right, gonna mix that in. All right, now just smooth it all down. Look at that, that's beautiful. And then I'm going to sprinkle those Panko breadcrumbs across there. Get those all over. That just gives it a nice little crustiness on top there. And the cheese, that remaining bit of cheese, get that spread out across the top. I know somebody's going to say, cheese again? Yes, cheese again. I do cook with a lot of cheese. Love the stuff. My father used to always keep at least 3-4 different cheeses in our fridge. He even had a little special holder for it with keep it just right. And we always had cheese. All right, that's going to go in the oven over there. 350 degrees or 180 degrees Celsius, about 25-30 minutes. Then it's dinner time. Oh, that's hot. I think I need a new hot pad. All right, there we go. Look at it, still bubbling around the corners here. Cheese melted in there. A little browning around the edges. That's looking good. So what I'm going to do now is just move this over just a little bit. Get a bowl out here. Let's serve some of this up. Yeah, that's looking good down in there. It's going to get messy. Could use a bigger spoon, but this is the biggest one I got here that isn't a ladle. Come on, get on there. There we go. Try to serve that up nicely, you know, so it looks good. There. A bit of more of this in there. Ooh. Yeah, we got the potatoes, we got corned beef in there, pasta. Yeah, that's looking nice. All right, that's ready for dinner tonight. Now, if you like this Irish mac and cheese recipe, kind of a little, one of my weird and eclectic fusions that I put together, well, stick around. There's a lot more of those here on the channel, so check them out. Also, make sure that you are subscribed and that you click that notification bell so you always find out when new ones come out, because I'm putting a new eclectic, original Kevin Riley Kuma's Kitchen recipe out every week. All right, now go make this and enjoy, a little bit of a late St. Patrick's Day.